Hello and welcome to A Day with the Car Driver. I'm Scamp.
And I'm Day.
And we are up to the Spring 2016 season, which is a fairly busy season, actually. Yeah, fairly busy.
Yeah! I don't think I watched that much, though.
No, it doesn't seem really like a day season, does it? Well...
What counts as a day season?
Lots
of garbage.
You said it, not me.
But a specific type of garbage.
Yes.
I don't just go for any old trash. I have, certain requirements in my trash. So, for example, something like Triage X is like, yes. But something like Random Ass Harem Show number 947 is like,
Well, actually, we do have some of your trash this season, but we'll get to that later. I think we should start off probably with what was the biggest.
Oh, okay.
We'll probably start off with what was the biggest show this season, though. And
actually, well,
I think this is the biggest show.
Was it My Hero Academia or was it Re:Zero?
Re:Zero was huge.
Re:Zero was immense.
Re:Zero has been really.
I think it's a little hard to compare the two, though, because Re:Zero still hasn't had a sequel.
Yeah.
Whereas My Hero Academia has had a fairly steady stream of content.
Yeah.
So, I would say, from this vantage point, if anything, it's just a bit difficult to sort it out.
Yeah, I think Re:Zero was a shock hit. Like that.
Re:Zero was immense.
Like, I remember looking at the light novel and going, oh, I bet this is going to be big. Like, there was just a feeling on it of like, this feels like it fits a lot of things, but like, even so, the level to which Re:Zero blew up.
And part of it was, too, you had so many people who would never bother with isekai light novel adaptations otherwise, who gave it a go and thought, oh, this is good, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of dig this. Of course, you also had the people who just were totally gaga for the maid girl with the blue hair.
Oh, for God's sake. I should probably go back to it. I got to like episode 6 or 7. You know, like those first like 4 episodes or so. Mm-hmm. That's a good story. Mm-hmm. It's quite self-inserty in the sense, but like not in a here's all the great things that will happen to you. But like I like to imagine if I went to an isekai world, that I would like I'd get my shit together. This is what I would do. This is what I would do. Obviously, things would go badly for me, but I could totally charm the princess. It's genre savvy, I think is the way, and I think later on it subverts those expectations as well. It knows its genre and it does really well within its genre.
It also is much more willing to let its lead character completely screw things up.
Yes, they're willing to let him fail.
And he is not really meant to be a god-type character.
No, he's not overpowered, which is a relief compared to everything else.
Granted, those are the same things that for some folks made it a bit of a difficult watch, because he does do immensely stupid things and totally screws things up badly several times and is like, oh shit, I suck.
But it doesn't really start off like that. It starts off like this. This is what I would do in this world. And, oh, things are going well. And, oh, I've been killed. Oh, wait, I'm still alive,
But it's not... I want to be careful to point out, though, that it isn't of the... We've been so deluged in the interim with these, like, grim, dark isekai. I would like to point out that that's not really what it is.
No, it's very colourful.
Well, I don't just mean that. I mean, it's not about, dwelling upon, like, this moron.
Yeah.
He just, look, now he will be punished because he was stupid and happy.
It's quite a funny show. Well, it's got a sense of humour. I'm saying all this, like, I stopped watching it at a certain point. I only got, like...
It's not really my... it's one of those shows I look at from time to time, like, maybe I should try it, but even as I can look at me, like, I realize that this show is, playing with some of the expectations and trying to do something other than just power fantasy. Nevertheless, it's not really my cup of tea.
It is astonishing, though, the level to which it has been... It's probably been one of the biggest shock breakout hits of the decade.
Is the new season coming out? Because it is getting a new season, finally.
I wonder if
when
its
is
time
that
has
coming
passed.
out?
I
wonder
don't
if
know.
it's a... Oh, but
it's not next. I don't think it's next season.
I had that colleague of mine who watches some anime.
Yeah.
He's watched this, and he watched it in 2018. So I don't think that its time is entirely past. Something that probably helps it is that it is published in English.
Yes.
And I think it sells fairly well. So, but man, goodness, we've managed to go on a bit about a show neither of us really watched.
It was a big deal. Like, it's not top 10 most popular of the decade. It may reach top 20.
I wonder how it stands in comparison to other light novel adaptations of the past decade.
What else has been bigger?
Sword Art Online.
Well, Sword Art Online is the...
But other than that...
I know that the High School DxD novels and anime is very big. This is probably bigger.
Yes, because in part, again, as I said, a lot of people who wouldn't normally touch this sort of thing with a 10-foot pole have actually enjoyed it.
I wonder if it is No, it's probably not the second
High School DxD is sort of... I think of that as being largely the preserve of people who've seen, 20 shows, and the only anime they watch anymore are boob fests.
I think...
Twice a year.
The level to which Funimation pushes that, though, implies that High School DxD has been a big success for them.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
But it's also worth pointing out that given that people are much less apt to buy physical releases at this point.
Yes. Re:Zero has a... How do you put it? It's not frowned upon.
You know what? You know what else tells me that Re:Zero's moment probably hasn't passed? They continue to churn out,
figurines.
Extremely, primo type figurines.
Yes.
That tells me, and they have special events where you can get married to one of the maid girls.
Yes.
So to me that says that the moment hasn't passed, but time I suppose
I think it
will
will pass. I think there's some series that in a weird way are eternal from this decade. I think Attack on Titan in many ways will be eternal. I think Madoka has kind of proven itself already. I don't think this will be. But
I think it depends on how much longer the isekai thing goes on.
Yeah.
Which, makes me think of that phrase I always bring up.
What?
If I'd known that the Emoto trend was going to give way to the slave trend, you know what? Load up my goddamn veins with Emotos until the sun fucking explodes.
In Re:Zero, he becomes the butler rather than he becomes the maid, basically. Which is okay. And he's like, I will serve you, my princess. He is what people would like to think they are when they are suave, which is to say, cheesy, but oh, you're sweet. Anyway.
It's a little like you.
Yeah, thanks, dear. But this wasn't the biggest show this season. The biggest show, and possibly right up there, there isn't even an argument to be made that this, I don't think it's not the biggest of the decade, but possibly number 3. Top 5 is
My Hero Academia?
My Hero Academia has been a phenomenon. It has become, even though it doesn't have the same kind of airing schedule of constantly running, it's kind of been the new Naruto of this decade.
What about Boruto? God.
No
love for Boruto? What about Boruto's dad?
Yeah. The level to which My Hero Academia has... if you talk generic anime avatar thing, so many of those generic anime avatar things are, characters from My Hero Academia. It's oh look, this person's got a Froppy avatar. Oh, this person's got Ice Boy avatar.
Oh, this person has Minato avatar. Time to launch them into the sun.
Oh god.
I don't see that many.
Yeah.
But every single one I've ever seen has been someone screenshotting a tweet and be wow, check out this weirdo.
And it's someone with a Minato avatar?
Yep.
It's oh, wait to mark yourself out.
It's, it's sort of an extreme version of the anime girl avatar stereotype.
Yeah, they got a Minato. Who would you trust more? Someone with what's it called? Ahoge? Ahegao.
Ahoge is
something different. That's
in Hetalia.
Yes.
Although that is an erogenous zone, so you could get an Ahegao out of that Ahoge.
Yes. Would you trust someone with an Ahegao avatar Or someone with Minet. I would actually trust someone with the Ahegao avatar over a Minet avatar.
Very slightly, but I suppose it's a sliding scale of trust, and the question would be, trust with what?
So, yeah.
Because I feel like I don't know, if it was a small child that they had to be trusted with, I would actually give the Mineta just a very, very slight advantage.
I was going to explain what My Hero Academia was. You know what My Hero Academia is. Like, come on. You're listening to a relatively obscure podcast on the internet about anime. You know what My Hero Academia is. I can sometimes get...
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't you mean Boku no Hero Academia?
I mean, Macadamia. What's the stupid name? Macadamia nuts.
Macadamian.
Macadamian.
I love those things. Actually, I don't think I've ever eaten one in my life.
Yeah, when I see Mount Lady, I also... Macadamia these nuts. Have you seen Mount Lady?
I wish everybody could see the facial expression I just made. Anyway.
For me, My Hero Academia, I can get quite cynical about it sometimes because it has a lot of... It's quite formulaic and a bit generic. And also, it does not treat its female characters very well, to put it lightly. Yeah, but there is a heart of it that I really like. I like his imagination. I like All Might. I think he is maybe one of the best characters of the whole decade. He is the heart and soul and the message of everything in that show. And everything involving All Might is fantastic. I think season 2 in particular, like, I've been doing my, anime this decade I love type thing. And My Hero Academia is going to squeak in there, and is doing so largely on the back of season 2, which has the tournament arc, which, for one, they actually solved a lot of their problems I had with the show. They actually treat the female characters a lot better. Like Floaty Girl got her moment of badassery. And they also gave the show a bit more weight and depth, I think. It's, again, quite formulaic, but it worked. And I still, like, season 2 is definitely the highlight of this show for me. Season 4 is coming out next season now.
In my opinion, there are only 2 good tournament arcs in the entirety of anime.
Yeah.
Hikaru no Go.
And Yu Yu Hakusho.
No.
Rurouni Kenshin.
I actually got bored in Yu Yu Hakusho. I never really dug Rurouni Kenshin because it did the classic move that I associate with 90s anime of like, check out this badass lady. Oh, well, but now we have to show that our hot guy is hot shit. So, downgrade for the lady. Also,
the cell
now we know that it was done by a pedophile, so there's that too.
Oh dear.
No.
I feel bad for Kenshin.
G-Gundam! Oh, I mean, it's basically all a tournament arc. I'm somewhat exaggerating, but anyway. So this was the first glimpse we were getting of something that much later became a phenomenon, and that is Aggressive Retsuko.
Yeah,
This is when the 1 minute long ONA started up. This has not been licensed. It was subsequent...
Netflix never went back to it?
I mean, I don't see why they would, because it's...
They funded the later seasons, but not the first one.
Not funded, I don't... actually, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure of what the relationship here was, because I know there are a lot of anime now that show up on it that say Netflix Original that
I think
aren't.
Netflix Original means that they did provide... They're on the production committee.
Quite frankly, that can't be true, because there are too many shows that carry that they weren't on the production committee.
Oh, like Post?
Yes. That's one of the things that people have been... When you hear people, bemoaning Netflix's relationship with anime, which I think is overblown, quite frankly, one of the things people do bring up, which I think is a legitimate criticism, is that they put Netflix Original on things that are not something they funded. For example, very good, an example that's so clear-cut no one could possibly think that Netflix had something to do with it. Violet Evergarden. ran with Netflix original on it on Netflix. They had absolutely nothing to do with the funding.
Huh, I thought they did.
I don't think they did. I'm pretty sure they didn't.
I'll take your word on it.
Because, too, it doesn't really seem like something that would have had their involvement. If you look at the things
It did stream on Netflix before anywhere else, though.
Okay.
Well, that's why.
So did Kuromukuro. So did the first season of Kakegurui. They have nothing to do with them.
They weren't on the production committee, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I believe it.
Anyway, I don't see the point. I am not surprised I didn't go back for this because there's 100 episodes. They're each 1 minute long.
I think it kind of runs. Well, no, because this is
also people who have seen this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like these were terribly great.
No, these ones. This has a good score. The first season has a good score. That's part of the reason why they kept making it. People liked Aggressive Retsuko before it came to Netflix.
Well, I didn't say they didn't. Yeah. Although, I will also point out that a significant amount of the people who liked it after it came to Netflix didn't know it existed prior.
Oh, absolutely.
I would point out that its mouse score might be more of a function of how few people have watched it on there than anything, though.
Yeah, on the other hand, shorts never really get that good a score.
True.
And Retsuko has high 7s.
Yeah. Whatever. The point is, this is your first glimpse at Aggressive Retsuko. This is where it was before it became the smash hit that it became.
Yeah.
And it started this season.
I need to go back to it.
I feel like the amount of effort involved in watching it exceeds...
Yeah.
It's a minute long.
Well, not this, but like Retsuko in general.
Okay, I understand. Yes, I would agree with that.
Anyway. But we didn't watch it. We didn't watch that.
We didn't
either.
Watch it.
But we
know we did watch? Macross Delta.
Yes.
Which I liked. It's flawed. But to me, what makes it work is the cast. So, Macross Delta is the latest iteration of the Macross franchise.
Don't you mean... what's it called? Sorry.
What?
What's the Harmony Gold version? Robotech.
Robotech.
Don't you mean Robotech?
Kawamori's going to materialize in this room and kick your ass for that. Macross Delta, which, it's kind of funny how there are a lot of people getting worked up about this prior to its airing because they're like, oh, they're ruining Macross because it's got idols, and it's like...
What?
Have you not paid any attention to this entire franchise?
That?
People who are morons.
Okay.
But there were a lot of people who were like, it's got an idol group. This is the worst. And it's like, look, folks, I know Macross 7 didn't have idols, but I also know that most of you haven't seen Macross 7, so I don't know why you're getting so bent out of shape. But this is when the TV series aired. It premiered in a double-length episode, though, in December of 2015. Now that I think of it, do you remember that?
No.
God. Because we watched it, because originally we were like, I don't think either one of us is big on Macross. So, originally, I'm not sure that we really had that much interest in this, but we ended up watching the premiere of it, the double episode that they did separately, and... we came out of that and it's like, they went out on Ikanai Borderline, and we were like, this shit was great! Damn! So we ended up watching this. I wish it was better. I really like the cast a lot. I don't think the story's terribly good. I think the story unravels in the second half, and it gets... they go with one of the most... if your villain is at the end is cackling from a throne about what is basically, the instrumentality project is his motivation.
Yes.
It's a bit much. And it was kind of disappointing because it meant too that the villain's motivations, like, the villains as a whole were fine. Their grievances are fine. The issues that they're dealing with are fine because they are people who only live to be at most, like, their mid-30s. They have very short lifespans. So, that all together was okay. But yeah, they just hair off and they go with this really silly, like, ultimate evil plan instead of just, well, you dropped a biological weapon on us 7 years ago, and we're still kind of pissed about that type thing. But I really loved the cast. Frey is great.
Frey is great.
Frey is fantastic. I loved her. By the way, this is one of those Macross iterations that they pretend there's a love triangle. There really isn't,
No.
There's a second girl, but she never has a chance. I just, Hayate, once his characterization settled down, because he starts off as kind of a jerk, but he settles down and he's a decent human being. I liked him.
I didn't like Hayate.
I liked the idol group Valkyrie.
You have a crush on at least, 3 of them.
3.
Okay, maybe 2.
Yeah. Mikumo's great. She's my lesbian goddess.
Yes.
I just wish it was better.
I like a lot of the characters. I think overall I like it. I'm not crazy on it, and I think it made me realize that I fundamentally don't actually like Macross very much. I think the mech designs are stupid.
Okay, I'm here to say that it's not a mech show. The idea that it's a mech show is so stupid to me.
There's mechas in it.
They're flying fighter jets.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Occasionally
Really,
they transform into an awkward fucking mech, but most of the time they're fighter jets and they're having dog fights.
That is true.
Especially when you consider that Hayate is named after one of Germany's aces in World War I.
Yeah.
No, these are not mechs, you stupid morons. And when people try to tell me Macross is a mech show, I'm like, okay, bitch. Yeah, sure it is.
And I also don't like idols.
I was surprised. There were a few songs that I really did dig. That was that's a great song. But there were also a lot of songs that I was just like, can we fast forward this? Because it's not really a genre that I dig out of hand.
Yeah.
But I guess my Macross, I might have better Macross credentials than you, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Macross 7.
Yeah.
I've seen Do You Remember Love?
Yeah.
I have seen the first of the Frontier movies.
I've seen the TV series.
I saw, 2 minutes and 46 seconds of the second Frontier movie.
That's about as much as I saw.
I didn't really...
I think Cheryl is hot.
Watching the first Frontier movie, I was like, I would enjoy this a lot more if it was about...
Cheryl.
No, just Cheryl and
Cheryl
Ronka.
stepping on me.
Yeah, I want to watch a movie about Cheryl stepping on my husband. Sounds great. I would have enjoyed it much more if it was just about Cheryl and Ronka being rivals and falling in love.
Okay.
What's his face was boring. The blue-haired kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was dull. Anyway, we've talked a lot about that.
I want to return to Agretzko 1 second, because we were talking about how that was Netflix getting in the game. Because this was about the time, particularly with My Hero Academia coming out, it was increasingly clear that, there's a lot of money in anime for Western streaming companies. And this was the season in which it became the most apparent, because this is when Amazon strode in and waved their dick around and said, look at all the money I have, and gave it all to Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress.
Yes.
They gave them... I think this was when Crunchyroll and Funimation briefly teamed up because they realized they didn't have the money to...
Briefly, they only just stopped a year ago.
Yeah. And this was also when Japan, I think, because I remember reading interviews with this.
A lot of streaming companies were made very nervous by this because Amazon was splashing money around that no one else could possibly.
They funded the entirety of Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress's production.
Consider this. Just think of it in these very raw terms. Amazon.com, Funimation. Think of the size of those companies. Funimation is the largest of the, traditional anime licensors.
Are they bigger than Crunchyroll?
That's why I said traditional.
Yeah.
That is, I think, probably impossible to untangle because Crunchyroll does not actually do their own home releases. They have to subcontract. I think Funimation has Dragon Ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And yeah, anyway, my point being, if Funimation is your biggest company in your industry, and then you have Amazon. Anyway, I think people get my point.
Yeah. It was a panicky moment, but also like in Japan, all of a sudden all these really old execs were like, who like didn't understand the internet, because Japan is, there's higher ups, you see this in video games as well, there's like higher ups who just don't get it. And quite insular as well.
It's also worth pointing out
but they understand money.
Because of the nature of the Japanese entertainment industry, it's very insular.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more, talents are more tightly controlled.
Yes.
And that ties into sort of ideas having to do with streaming stuff, because it took a while to bring people around on streaming.
Yeah, but Cabaneri, I think, was the actual turning point, which is weird to think about, because Cabaneri didn't leave much of an impact.
No, although a lot of people did watch it at the time. Oh, this is also, we're coming up on when something called Anime Strike came into being, but it doesn't exist quite yet at this point.
Yeah. So this was because My Hero Academia was, I think Funimation blew their wad on My Hero Academia, if I remember correctly, and spent my understanding was spent so much more than they were expecting they'd have to, and they did it because they panicked. Ultimately, they bet back the right horse over Cabaneri.
But to be fair, if Cabaneri had been on one of the traditional streaming platforms, maybe it would have done better. I mean, granted, a lot of people did watch it, but
I think
Cabaneri, by the way, is by the guy who adapted the first season of Attack on Titan. Yeah. And then, he got to go do his own thing, which is kind of like, what if Attack on Titan, but with, fire zombies? I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, but it was also more Japanese rather than kind of like...
Also, they're steam engines.
Yeah. It's like, because Attack on Titan's quite steampunky anyway, but this is more Japanese themes.
This is like Japanese medieval steampunk. Well, feudal steampunk.
Yes. Compared to like...
actually, given that we were just talking about Macross, the character designs were done by the Macross character designer.
I did know that, yeah.
Because when I was looking at the ending theme for this show, I was like, wait a minute, those character designs... And then I looked into it, and I was right.
The thing is, though, like, the first half of the show is quite good, second half of the show is really bad.
The first half of the show's okay.
Yeah.
It's nothing particularly substantive or intelligent, but the second half of the show is terrible.
They introduce some terrible characters, have some awful plot twists, kind of get away from what was enjoyable about it. Looks great.
The villain is probably I swear he's an escapee from 80s yaoi. His character design.
Also, he completely destroyed the show in many ways. He's like maybe the worst character of the decade.
Yeah, his backstory is really stupid.
Just the whole thing.
Even by anime standards, his backstory is really stupid, because it's like, when he was 12 years old, he led 400,000 soldiers.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
Yes. Anyway, some of the math didn't add up.
God, a lot of the math in that show didn't add up.
Anyway. What else we got this season?
Well, Kiznaiver was not as big as anything we've mentioned so far, but I would say it was decently large.
Which show, sorry?
Kiznaiver.
Oh, yeah. This was Trigger, but not any of the really talented people at Trigger.
This is a show that thought it was saying something much more, what would be the word? It thought it was a lot deeper than it actually was.
The real Kiznaiver were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. There are some interesting ideas in it about, hey, what if we kidnapped a bunch of kids and then did like a weird experiment on them that left them linked to each other such that they feel each other's physical pain.
Yeah.
By the way, then a character is introduced who is a masochist, so, yeah.
Yes, I do remember that. I think it's trying to be vaguely Anohan. It's trying to join on that type of story.
Yeah, with more of a sci-fi twist.
Yeah.
But it just... I liked some of the characters. I liked how colorful it was.
Yeah, triggery.
But it was
that way.
stupid.
Yes.
It also has the dubious distinction of deciding that 2016 was a great time to bring back the homosexuality equals death angle.
Okay. One thing I will say, fantastic opening.
I know.
OP. This is the very sad story of the Boom Boom Satellites, who did things like, they've done endings like Unicorn, Zammed.
Well, they also did...
Ninja Slayer.
Yeah, I was going to say they did all of the endings for Ninja Slayer.
The vocalist caught, like, throat cancer.
You don't really catch that, you know.
Yes,
it's
I know.
It's not a communicable disease. Yes. He'd had it before, and then he was in remission, and then it came back, and he died.
But it looked like he'd beaten it, basically.
Yeah.
It looked like he'd beaten it, and he'd beaten it around about the time Kisnaiva came out, so he did the opening, and then like 2 months later or something, it came back and he died. Honestly, like, every now and then I think about that, I get very sad. Because some of their openings are some of my favourite they've ever, like, in anime, even though none of them are the shows I like very much. But, yeah, Boom Boom Satellites. And their opening does sound an awful lot like Take On Me. Have you never noticed that before?
No, because I'm not as blown away. Like,
you don't like
it's
it?
It's a good song, but I'm not really... I've found the animation kind of like...
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Anyway, that's Kisnaiva. Then it was Bungo.
Hey, you know what? Well, actually, I was going to go with, because the writer for Kisnaiva was also the writer for The Lost Village, Mahuiga.
Oh, God, was it?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
So, I enjoyed The Lost Village.
Oh, no, my...
The Lost Village presents itself as horror, and it isn't really, in which... a bunch of people get on this, they win some sort of contest, and it's like, okay, well, you're gonna get to go to the Lost Village, which is this mysterious village that's in the mists, and no one knows where it is, but we'll take you there.
Well, I'm gonna sing about hippopotamus.
Yes, and everybody's on this bus, and you realize that almost everyone on the bus has a reason that they're like, I want to hide from society for a while, or forever. Some of them have more legitimate reasons than the others. Some of them are, people who are really short, so they couldn't be part of the Japanese self-defense forces, so...
They put a boob on their head!
Yeah, they got a silicone implant in their skull to make them taller, and it didn't work. Okay, but there are some ones where... So, for example, there's one woman who's... she has sort of a lazy type manner... And she very casually relates at one point that, well, the reason she's come out here is that, this guy's been stalking her and the police won't do anything. So she's like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'm going in the woods. So I think there are some bits of genuine social commentary going on here, but there's also a lot of silliness happening. And
you're not quite selling just how ridiculous. So basically, they all get to the forest. They can't get out, and they find the Lost Village, and then a monster that represents their deepest fear starts attacking them, which includes a giant boob.
Well, also there's the giant bear.
Yes.
Do you remember the giant teddy bear?
Yes, vaguely.
Which was... The thing is, people are like, oh, they were being super serious when they were making this, and this is bad. But I'm sorry, I really don't think that... I am convinced that they were being entirely intentional when they have moments like, oh god, there's something crouching through this tunnel, that might be our only way to escape, and oh my god, I'm so scared. And then a teddy bear comes out that's like the size of a house.
And then they repeatedly lock people in the basement because they think they kill people. And then there's the one girl with the blue hair who's always like, we must murder them all! And everyone
She doesn't have blue hair.
Oh, does she not?
No, she's black hair.
Black hair.
You're talking about Love Pawn.
Love Pawn, yes, who was just like, we must murder them all! And everyone just sits around and goes like, well, we must have a very serious discussion about this. And no one seems to acknowledge the one girl who just wants to murder everyone.
Yeah.
God, this show is so stupid.
I enjoyed it. I think it kind of loses it at the end because there's some plot twists that it's like, but I liked it. I think it's worth watching. I'm willing to say that.
I would put this as a day type of trash.
It wasn't trash.
Okay.
I maintain that it wasn't trash.
Okay.
You mentioned Bungo Stray Dogs. Well, I'm sorry, Bungo Stray Dogs. I was reading it because you've written down as Bunghole Stray Dogs.
I'm very smart.
I think I came up with that, though. God. I just don't get this one.
I don't like the director.
I watched 8 or 9 episodes, so I watched the first couple and was like, eh. But people seemed to like it so much and more kept getting made, and people swore up and down that, like, oh, it gets better, I swear. And then I ended up watching 8 episodes, and it has its moments, but it's just... The premise of this is that you have a... God, I'm trying to think of where it's set. It's set in Japan, but it's kind of this Japan in which these historic, mostly authors, but there's some other types too, are... God, I don't even know how to explain it.
They're reborn again with magical powers that that come from their work.
Yeah.
So if one of them is suicidal, then their magical power is to
never die.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just I don't like the sense of humor in it. I think is my main thing, and I've never liked this director's sense of humor. He did like Auron. He did Star Driver, I think.
Some of the humor works and some of it doesn't. In part because I think when it doesn't work, it thinks it's being really cute and clever, and it's not. This also is a show that has at least one character who's a horrible human being who the show is nevertheless happy to coddle, which I really have never liked because, he's a brilliant detective, so, even though he's a horrendous human being, he's brilliant, and I'm not persuaded by that nonsense because I don't care how brilliant you are. You are probably not as brilliant as 10 people whose lives you've made miserable, is how I feel
I also
about it.
just find constant jokes about committing suicide a bit. Not for me. But whatever. Like, this show's been huge, particularly huge amongst women. It's,
there's been 3 seasons and a movie.
Something like that.
It was one of the ones that I remember we went to Japan last fall. There was tons of merch for this particular property for sale.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get it.
Then there's Joker Game.
Which, I mean, it's a cool idea, Joker Game. It's like...
Too bad the cast is insufferable.
It's like 1930s secret, kind of a Japanese secret service who go around...
It's like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, it's like spies, and they go around trying to catch other, like, counter-spying. It's counter-espionage, basically.
It is boring, and the cast is... I couldn't stand the cast. They're so full of themselves and smug about it. It's also really boring. I watched 2 episodes of it, and I was like, I am so bored. And there's one guy in it who is kind of the outsider because he's assigned to be in this unit because I think he screws up at something and it's meant to be punishment. And all of these spy guys are like, oh, you're such a moron. I am so smug and smart. And I just...
Tell us how you really feel about these
I didn't like this at all. That's how I felt. Which is too bad because the premise is interesting.
I remember there was some pretty serious same face going on with the male.
Wow, when you have a cast... Well, because the guy who's assigned it as a punishment looks totally different from all the other guys.
Yes.
I want to say he might be blonde. And all the other guys are just like dark-haired and... Now, I get it. Part of it is you don't pick people who are gorgeous as a spy because you want them to blend in, but...
They blend in with each other. Yeah.
There's this scene where he walks in and they're playing a game and smoking a bunch, and I think it's a card game, and he's like, oh, let me join. They're like, oh, you don't even understand, you stupid peasant, because it turns out they're having a card game in which, like, they're wagering their lives. Anyway.
So it's kaiji is what you're saying. They all look like...
Without the class commentary.
Okay. Anyway, that's kind of most of all the really big TV shows this season. There's still a bunch of others.
Flying Witch was a bit of a I wouldn't call it a sleeper hit, but it was a cult hit is what I would call it. A lot of people enjoyed Flying Witch, which is just about... To me, Flying Witch is what I would have liked to have gotten out of Some Days Dreamers.
Yeah, that's like what I would have compared it to.
I think it's a much better show. Also, its sound mixing is not hot trash.
Yeah, oh yes.
Because I tried to watch Some Days Dreamers, like, wow, at this point, probably 8 years ago or so, and oh my god, the sound mixing is so bad.
I do remember that. There was Sakamoto Desuga, which was... I thought this show would be bigger than it ended up being.
I think people got bored of its shtick quickly.
Because this was...
Haven't you heard? I'm Sakamoto.
Which is this guy who is just so perfect and amazing at everything and everyone.
Also, he's a high school boy, because of course he is.
And people try to, like... But, like, hilariously so. Like, someone will pull out his chair from under him, but he'll just sit on the middle of the air, you know.
Yeah, or, you know, he'll be the best, you know, at erasing the chalkboards or something like that.
Yes. And everyone's like, he's so cool.
Again, I was under the impression people got bored of its shtick very quickly.
Yeah. But if the manga was, like, an award-winning, like when I say award-winning, like, one of those... Wait a minute.
We were talking about big hits, and you said that covered the big hits.
Yeah.
Where on earth do you put Diamond One Not Crash?
Oh, well, that's JoJo's. Sorry. Like,
by the way, folks, that's better known as Diamond is Unbreakable.
Diamond Why Not Crash.
Which someone just... This is the JoJo that I've seen the most of, because someone likened it to The Adventures of Pete and Pete, which was a show I really enjoyed in the 90s. That was a live-action show that ran on Nickelodeon in America and in Canada. I have no idea where else it ended up running, which was this live-action show about two brothers who are both named Pete, and just their lives, but it's a little bit surreal. There's slightly odd things will happen, and no one treats it as being the least bit remarkable. Anyway... Someone compared Diamond is Unbreakable to that, so I did watch a few episodes.
Yeah.
It's got a hot mom.
So you said this is the JoJo's you saw the most of. JoJo's I've seen the least of. I think I only got like 7 episodes. I don't like the characters. I hate the kind of short guy.
Yes, I know. You've told me.
I don't like it. It's definitely my least favorite JoJo's of all the ones I've seen. I didn't get very far either. I know that is...
I already know that the JoJo's I'm going to have seen the most of, though, is going to be Stone Ocean.
Yes, which is coming up next.
Jolene.
They haven't announced that one yet.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, because they've all done well. I still need to finish the 5th season. I'm like 3 episodes from the end or something. But there was actually sequels, though, of popular franchises.
Sailor Moon Crystal 3, which solved a lot of the problems people had with the original Sailor Moon Crystal. One big difference was they changed character design. And the person who did the new character designs, they just seemed to better adapt Takeuchi's character designs for anime. The prior one is, Sailor Moon Crystal. By the way, yes, Sailor Moon Crystal 3, even though technically prior to this you just had Sailor Moon Crystal. This is the 3rd story arc. The character designs just work a lot better. They move more convincingly. They, I think, were easier on the animators to put into motion. Takeuchi's designs are... slight and flowing enough that I think being so faithful to them with the first go-round didn't do them any favors. This was good. This is a really good adaptation of the 3rd story arc in the manga. I enjoyed it a lot. I appreciated that they made some changes. Also, the director was... what's her name? Chiaki Kon.
Oh.
Who has done, she's done a bunch of yaoi, and she's done some shoujo. I think she was a better fit for the material than the first person was.
She did the, Honey and Clover, I think, and Nodamic.
And
I thought Chiaki Kon was a dude as well.
Oh, I was pretty sure it was a woman.
I might be wrong, though. I think if it's the same person I'm thinking of.
Well, because now that I'm thinking about it, I've never really looked deeply into it.
Yeah, anyway.
She did... she adapted stuff like Sekaiichi Hatsukoi, which...
Yes, I know that.
Problems with stuff like that was not to do with the director. This was What are you looking at me like that for? I really enjoyed this. This was like, this is what this should have been the whole time.
It did feel like they missed the boat. Like, there was a point in which this thing could have been one of the...
Yeah. They frittered away so much goodwill with the Sailor Moon Crystal, which is really unfortunate, because this was good.
Twin Star Exorcist was I think it's one of those
sort
shonens...
of a mid-level shonen.
It's one of those shonens that's secretly a lot more popular than you think it is.
Yeah.
It's one of the few anime which I've seen, like, people wear things out in the wild of.
Yeah.
Star Exorcist.
It's also one that people I know who don't normally watch shonen watch this. I've actually meant to watch it, and I just never have gotten around to it.
I don't know.
Its logo,
looks cool.
I was going to go with looks like something that Hot Topic could probably sell a lot of.
I guess that's why I've seen people wear it, because they all wear it.
For all I know, maybe they have.
There was Kumamiko.
That's another one that was kind of a small hit, but people were really angry with its ending.
Yeah. It was creepy, I think.
Again, this is one of those ones, it wasn't that people were disappointed or sad, it was they were flamingly angry about the ending, because the ending pretty much upended everything that came before it in terms of, well, it just, instead of...
letting the characters
You
develop.
have to let your characters grow.
Yeah.
People don't actually like it when you take a character and jam them back into a box and restrict their movements.
Yeah.
Another one that...
Oh, I saw this one. This is a strange anime.
I was going to jump ahead slightly, because I was going to say the one other one that I think you could actually point at and say this was a bit of a small level hit is Space Patrol Luluko.
Oh, I was going to put all the shorts together.
Well, alright, we'll go back to it.
Okay.
This is Bakuan. I mean, I don't really see the point of mentioning it.
Because I watched a lot of it, and it's actually quite funny. It's just also...
It made some weird choices.
It made some choices that are totally... So it's clearly by a person who loves motorbikes, but totally couldn't make a motorbike anime, so he said, fine, what about put a bunch of cute girls in it? And he's like, okay, yeah, here's your motorbike anime. Alright, gonna put a dumb sex jokes all over the thing, such as how a person who rides a training motorbike, and it's just an older experienced lady teaching you how to have sex with it.
I seem to remember there was also, completely needless scenes involving people in bikinis washing their motorbikes.
Yes, it's like, oh, let's wash
pressing their boobs against them.
Yes, there was definitely lots of that. There was also someone who had someone's shitty dad who's she had a tattoo of a brand she didn't like on her butt because her dad had made the car too hot, and then she fell on it with her open butt, and now has a burn mark on her butt of a shitty motorbike brand. And
That's
then
weird as hell.
And then there's a motorbike brand he doesn't like, so he has a bunch of people who are fans of that motorbike brand come up and go nah, we all drive Subaru, or something like that.
Yeah, but of course it's Subaru, not Subaru. Kawasaki.
Yes.
Kawasaki.
It's clearly someone who knows their shit, but is also
a pervert.
Well,
weirdo.
Yes. But there are jokes in this thing that I genuinely It's really funny. It just evidently it only has so many jokes, and when it runs out of jokes, it's I know, here's some ladies in bikinis.
Speaking of ill-advised sequences involving fan service, Big Order.
Oh, dear.
God, this show is terrible. So Big Order is a manga by the author of Future Diary,
which we both like.
If Future Diary is pulp done right, Big Order is just a steaming pile of crap. I really don't know how else to describe it.
It's maybe the worst anime of the decade.
It takes place in a somewhat semi-apocalyptic future Japan, and people have powers, and
all the character designs are, by the way, ripped off, are basically the exact same from Future Diary.
There's a lot of repeats. They're not all repeats, but there are an awful lot of them. Probably the worst is the one that has Yuno Gasai's
character design.
Pretty much exact same character design.
I mean, the main character also looks almost exactly the same as the main character from
Yeah, but there are some ones who aren't, the priestess girl who somehow becomes pregnant because her hair ribbon is tied.
That is the point. That is maybe the most iconic stupid scene in all of anime this decade.
Yeah, it was really something. Also, by the way, the pregnancy, manifests at I don't know,
9
7
months.
or 8 month version of pregnancy immediately.
Like, he grabs her hair ribbons by accident, and then it's just like her
No,
belly.
he grabs it because she's falling, I think,
Yes.
and he's trying to grab her, and her belly immediately expands.
And then she kind of holds a shocked expression on her face. Her belly expands, and then she starts crying.
Yeah, and it turns out her shitty-ass dad convinced her that if a guy ever, touched her, even her clothing, she would immediately be pregnant. This thing is a hot mess. It's just... There really is nothing good about it.
It is terrible.
The ending is great.
So I
and
never
by
got
great,
that far.
I mean it works. I laughed throughout the entire ending. What I appreciate about the ending is that it takes the Emoto character and she decides that she's done with everyone's shit is the best way of putting it. And there's much stabbing.
Okay.
So that was like a, oh, okay, all right, let's go with this. But yeah.
And the thing is, Future Diary is stupid.
But like I said, it's pulp done right.
Yeah,
This is just stupid.
There's
one character who can control rock who melds together all these gravestones and creates a monster. It's like, the gravestones of the people who died hating you. Yeah, this monster's gonna kill you, and you're gonna get killed by their gravestones. There's a lot of weird choices made in terms of plotting. We're supposed to be at a fairly tense point where we just have half an episode taken up by the Emoto and the Not Yuno sitting in a hotel eating food.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the typical, oh, oishi. It's just, it's weird.
It is a terrible anime.
I think it was only 10 episodes.
Yep. Good.
So, maybe check it out if you like shit shows.
Well,
Speaking of shit shows,
anyway,
Wagamama High Spec.
so there's a whole bunch of shorts this season, such as Wagamama High Spec,
Wagamama.
which, so this is where they all go to Wagamama and eat? Is that what it's about?
I know I saw part of this, and there is... I think this is adapted from a phone game, and in the first episode, it's the student council, and they all strip down for no discernible reason.
Yep.
To their undies, and they've all got boobs that are basically balloons.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good to me.
Then there was Panda Peace, which I also called Breadsbeans, because the girls are all gay-ish. I think there's one implication that there's, one girl who's genuinely got the hots for the other, but this is all, none of it's ever made text, it's all subtext. And they're really into bread.
They've got croissant keychains.
I watched this while I was making bread. It just worked. It's there. It's cute girls enthusing about bread. It's pretty inoffensive.
And then there was Tonkatsu DJ.
Agetaro.
Which was about a man.
It's about a boy, a teen boy who wants to be a DJ, but he is also...
part of a chef family.
Well, yeah, it's a restaurant.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, you're gonna be, the tonkatsu, that's what you're gonna do. Yeah. And he's like, I want a DJ, Dad, what the fuck?
Fuck you, Dad.
This is okay.
And then he sneaks into a DJ hall, and then he meets, a cool DJ who's like, yeah, chuka, chuka, chuka. And the guy looks at it and goes like, oh, it's just like tonkatsu. And then he becomes the tonkatsu DJ.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, I thought I'd like it more than I did, actually.
Yeah. It's a short, but it was a short that had 9-minute episodes.
Yeah.
I don't think that having made the episodes full would have done anything for it, though. It's fine. Then there's the last thing we have to mention, which I don't think you've seen.
Shonen Asobe Go Go Goma-chan.
This is about a little boy, his friend moves away, and then he finds a seal. I think it's a harp seal.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Pretty sure it's a harp seal. And initially I think he and his dad are like, we're going to cook it. Because sure, why not?
Yeah.
But then it's cute, so they decide not to. And meanwhile, his friend, who used to live right next to him, is living far away and is very sad and has a doll of the lead. Yeah.
So is this basically Cheese Sweet Home except with a harp seal?
a bit more absurd. Because
Okay.
whereas Chi behaves cat-like,
Yeah.
Goma-chan does stuff like shows up at school
Ah.
and sits at a desk and tries to answer math questions, but it's bad at math.
Oh.
But the teacher at first thinks it's good at math because of the sounds it makes. And then realizes that it isn't. Yeah, because at first the teacher's like, look, this seal is way smarter than the rest of you. And then you realize, oh, it's just that all it can say are these certain, sounds that sound like numbers.
Okay.
There's an awful lot of them considering cooking Goma-chan in the first few episodes. It's absurd in the way a lot of children's programming often is. Like, I would put it in a similar category to Michiru Neko.
Yes.
Although maybe not quite as existentially troubling.
Yes.
But
And there was Space Patrol Luluko.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we have to get back to it.
Which was
okay.
It's by the people who
I've been
made...
saying that a lot.
I like Space Patrol Luluko a lot. It's by the Trigger people and definitely feels like a better heir to the Trigger kind of throne in terms of stylistic and just this weirdness.
I think it indulges in Trigger fanishness too much in the middle portion, though.
Oh, absolutely.
It spends some time flailing around in the worlds of other Trigger shows, and if you're not someone who has watched all these shows, I think that I found that part pretty boring.
Yes, but even as someone who has, like, they show up in the Little Witch Academia world, for example, and you're like, yeah, okay, it's cute. I like Little Witch Academia. This is boring. There was the one that worked though, which when they went to Inferno Cop's world.
Yeah, if it had, well, in part because Luluko's boss is basically Inferno Cop.
And Inferno Cop gives her, like, the advice she needs to move forward.
Oh, yeah, because the premise is that Luluko wants to be a normal girl, and she lives in this future Japan, and she ends up developing a crush on, another Space Patrol guy.
Yeah.
Who's kind of a non-entity.
Yes.
And the show knows it. That's part of the point.
Yeah, that's the joke at the end.
She makes a comment about my shitty first crush.
Yes.
But her dad gets frozen.
And then it becomes a brain.
Yeah, and the only way to bring her dad back is she ends up working for the Space Patrol, which makes her transform into a gun periodically, which disturbs her.
Yeah, she's not particularly keen. She gets very embarrassed.
And they end up on the run. I don't know.
Because her mom is like a space pirate.
Her mom is a hot space pirate.
Yeah, and the dad's trying to catch her while he's a brain. And then there's the police chief who's an unmoving... It is a trip. It is so Trigger. It is actually quite... The music's great. They've got the Bonjour Suzuki, your favorite.
Bonjour Suzuki's Teddy Lloyd's the composer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's... If you skip, like, 4 of the middle episodes...
Doesn't leave much.
It doesn't leave much, but it's genuinely one of my, like, favorite shorts.
When it's good, I really enjoyed it. When it is, circle jerking that Trigger content, it's insufferable.
You're absolutely right.
It's boring as hell.
But it's got a heart, it's cute, it's ridiculous, and it's... At its best, it's, like, kind of reminding me, like, oh, I really like Trigger.
Between it and Turning Girls, I have this sense of Trigger does not seem to be able to do... People are probably going to argue with me about this with regards to Kill la Kill. I would say that Kill la Kill is somewhat of a mixed bag on that front. But in their shorts, at least, Trigger does seem capable of depicting female characters.
There was a weird number of women who go nuts for Kill la Kill and like see it as female empowerment. You're like, well, okay.
I mean, if it works for you.
If it works for you.
I would probably set it as kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel much more comfortable saying Luluko is But you know what? It's not just about... I don't mean in terms of empowerment, though. I mean in terms of rounded characters more.
Yeah, it feels like you are represented. And your feelings are represented.
Well, or just this person resembles someone who might actually be an actual girl.
Yeah.
As opposed to some odd approximation.
As written by Ned.
Yeah. Anyway. But that was the spring of 2016.
I think we should actually end on that Ludoko ending, the Bonjour Suzuki one.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
「君を探す